Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Dublin, and I'm joined by Levar Saul. He is the founder of Think Meetups and a lot more that we're going to discuss today. So, before we go forward, welcome, Levar. Thank you for being here with me at 12 o'clock on a Sunday.
12 o'clock on the dot.
Mhm.
Great morning to you, Lisa, and all
Yes,
the listeners.
indeed. So, do you know, I was looking back at the last time you were here. It's almost a year to date. It's like it was late March, I think March 28th. So, we're not that far gone. It's like a year and 2 weeks or something of the sort. Wow. Thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me. I look at some pictures from last year to this year, and my God, have I aged?
Oh, you have? Is that because of all the work you've been doing in Think and in the Nod?
At the nod, fatherhood, health,
Mm.
like everything in between.
Yeah. So we have a lot to talk about today. So let's get right into it. 1 year later, when we came on, I think late March 2024, I think you had the WhatsApp group for Think. The Think Meetups group was about 700 strong at that point. Let's
Yeah.
start with the figures, okay? Mind blowing. What has happened with it? What are the updates?
Okay. So actually, no. When we connected last year, I think we were around 600
Oh,
all together in the community. Right now, we are at believe it like at 820. And that is spread over different groups.
mhm,
But we measure it based on all that's in the community. And my God, there's been quite a bit of growth from within in there.
mhm.
What would you like to know? Let me kind of walk you through based on that.
Yeah, let's
Just keep.
start. Let's start with for the person who's listening for the first time, hasn't met you, and does not know what Think Meetups is about. Let's start there.
So the fast track answer, because we've got so much to cover, and I'm excited.
Mhm,
Think it's an acronym for things I now know. That's the first part, and it is really intended for us to just work with each other and just share the knowledge that we individually have in the spaces we occupy,
mhm,
and it shouldn't be something that holds our community back. It started with a very good colleague of mine, long time, Chantel Smith. Her and I, we go. "Shh."
College days, right? Roommates or something?
So
How's
no, that's Michelle. So
oh,
Michelle and I were roommates.
uh-huh.
So Chantel and I, we met. We were both sales associates at Solar Mobile up in Ottawa while we were both in university. We both work at Bell Mobility.
Mm,
She's now a practicing lawyer. I myself, I'm a bank manager,
mhm,
and just supporting each other in our career journeys, sharing tips and insights on how to contract navigations for your salary, just little things that we don't always need to start from 0 to 1.
mhm.
And we try to connect for months, as much as it's literally 5 minutes from where I live right
Right.
now.
Yeah.
At that time, we were 5 minutes from each other where we worked, but we just couldn't find time and space uh, until we did. And when we actually sat down, we really poured into each other's cups, and the light bulb really went off that if us, Chantel and I, so close in our career journeys, couldn't make space to support each other, give tips and tricks, what about everyone else, right, that
Mhm.
don't make it intentional in their practice to sit down with others? So at that time, I was fresh off of a free course from Africa Center on how to start a business, and
Wow.
and I was like, hey, you know what? Let's leave with a commitment. You invite some people, I'll invite some people, and we said we're gonna meet up later. And I just put together a lot of the concepts I'd learned in that free course from Africa Center. And we started this group. I used AI to generate the image, and
Whoa.
then started just bringing people together, right? And that starts the connecting phase of Think. We always say connect, network, collaborate.
Hmm.
And it took a life of its own from there. Um, Once it started growing, we realized there's a need for some sort of structure.
Yeah.
uh, and I think the structure we've put in place has been robust and fair enough to continue for it to grow. Um, Now we've honestly we've done a sampling last year, and we're about to roll out another sampling just to see how effective it has been in terms of helping advance careers, recirculate money among ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, just some good news stories, and we're hoping to get some more testimony soon.
Can you share some of those statistics with us? I think at one of the last Think meetups, you shared how we were recirculating money in our Black economy and pointed to how many people were actually patronizing businesses within Think. Those statistics were amazing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So that, and that's what I mean. So it was dated. It was like about 6 months in when we first did it, the first test, and it showed we had recirculated. It was like 150,000 ish, and it wasn't a lot of people that volunteered that, right?
Mhm.
Um, and
So
and
far
and
less, right? Far less. If we had a bigger sample, we probably would have, yeah.
So now, I mean, now we've been doing what we've been doing for quite some time. We've established some sort of precedent.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to get a better feel of what it is. I easily expect it would be in the millions that we recirculate. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Um,
So
so
now
that
when I meet people, now when I meet Black people all over Edmonton, a lot of them are like, "Don't I know you?" It's because they've seen stuff in Think. I'm like, yes, it's really growing and having, I think, a bigger reach than we perhaps know at this point.
yeah, you never know who's watching, who is interacting. I remember my wife was telling me she went to do her nails with our daughter,
Mhm.
and the lady next to her was like, "Hey, Soraya."
Oh, scary.
Yeah, but if you do good, I always
Mhm.
say you never worry about the attention you're drawing.
Yeah.
Um, it'll always grow from there.
Okay. So what's next for Think? I kind of titled our conversation today on Basement Chronicles, the Sunday interview. I call it Seeing the Big Picture because one of the things I feel like I've been honored to know about you is just how big a vision you have. And that was I was like, okay, let me just probe this mind. Like, what are you about? Like, you remember me asking you those questions? What are you about? Where's this coming from? Why are you doing what you're doing? It's a big vision. So can you break that down for us? What
Love
is
to.
the vision? Yeah.
So it starts with a love for our community. Period. Right. We all have a love. We also have like a hidden pain, whether we want to admit it, because very frequently in the media, in our day to day, in the stories we hear from each other, there's always something that's kind of preventing us from accomplishing our wildest dreams and aspirations. So for me, that vision is really grounded in a love for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always say us, and by that definition of us, like I'm easily pointing to that 1% of black blood in you. Like I'm very welcoming in that regard. As
Okay.
someone that has mixed kids, and even
Mm-hmm.
as someone that I learned that my great great grandfather was actually from India. My
Oh wow.
grandfather, yeah,
Okay.
like I have a picture of him, and that
Yeah.
is something that's unique for us in the Caribbean, right? Like there's so much mixing. So if
Yeah.
you've got that one drop of black blood, and you identify with us, like you are part of that community.
So it's
So,
that. Yeah. Nice.
and last year I remember when we were talking, I was still trying to form like what it is I'm trying to do. I just knew there was a love of. I've got a skill of being able to bring people together, and obviously within my own ideology, it's influence from others, and I've shared some of those with you. I I've really now started to kind of ground it in terms of like what do we actually do? What are those practical things? Which speaks to that vision you're asking about, right? First, I'll speak to who are the influencers that are honestly
Very.
guiding my thought.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at the top of the list is Dr. Claude Anderson out of the US. And he's always preaching about the fear of the Black community, specifically in the US, falling to a permanent underclass status. And he's been doing this for years. And he actually put together a blueprint of practical things as a
Mm-hmm.
community we should do to make
Right.
sure that we're not falling behind. And he
I'm gonna
speaks
put
to,
names in the chat so people can just after Claude Anderson, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Claude Anderson, and he
Yes.
speaks to getting the intersection of economics working with
Mm-hmm.
politics, with justice, with media, and education. And essentially, it's getting our people in those spaces that are thinking about what affects us. Like, so I'll give you a really good example. So for me, working in banking, I always talk about home ownership, right?
Yeah.
Just the importance of just get into home ownership. That's one of the most proven ways of getting generational wealth. And I can speak to that in my sleep, right? And I
Mhm.
whenever I look at home ownership, I always look at it first through the lens of us, right? Because it's so important to me. And
Mhm.
likewise, when I think of education, I always come back and I think of like Andrew Parker and the
Mhm.
amazing
Yes,
work he
him.
does. Yeah,
Mhm.
with those kids in the inner city. So it's almost like a bringing together of us in the spaces that we occupy and bringing that knowledge back to the community, even if it's bite size, even if it's in drips, so that over time people start adopting and practicing those things. So I'll repeat
Mhm.
it again. Economics, right? And economics have many different layers to it. Politics. So, we have representation in the political arena, justice, and often that's often one of the toughest ones that we're always fighting against. But we've got really good allies within the justice space that want to advocate for us.
Mhm.
Media,
Right.
yourself, right,
Yeah.
Lisa,
Mhm.
Annette.
Mhm.
That I know you're
That
going to
I'm
be.
gonna do an interview with soon.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Greg, like so many of us, and that's also in the media space now, we are telling our own stories. We're shedding positive light on our own lives, right? So we're no longer waiting for outside of the community to tell our stories. And then, of course, like I say, education. So bringing those pieces, Dr. Claude Anderson, he preaches
Mhm.
it. So I always say powernomics, guys, we're going to practice powernomics. That is the direction,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Um, and then Dr. Joy DeGruy.
Mhm.
So she speaks to the post-traumatic slave syndrome, right?
Yeah. I've seen
I've
some
been
stuff by her about this. Is it the Statue of Liberty or
she
some?
she's
Yeah, she has some really empowering and interesting YouTube videos.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So like for her, she really challenges you to rethink why we do some of the things we do, and we don't even realize it. Like you're on my WhatsApp status. I think I'm gonna take it down.
Mm.
The last year, my status has been I'm actively trying to unlearn the things I knew,
Why do you
right?
want to take that down?
Because like I've really spent a year intentionally just like challenging my beliefs, and I don't challenge a lot anymore. Obviously, I will continue to challenge the things that I thought I knew, but now it's more going to be more proactive in terms of what I'm seeking out,
Okay.
right? So I'm gonna put that out there. But with Dr. Joy DeGroy, she speaks of an example of back in the days of slavery.
Hmm.
Um, a mother would tell her son not to act too smart, right? Out of
And
fear that massa would sell him,
okay,
right?
because he was a threat, right?
Because he was a threat. So a lot of the things that we are telling our kids not to do is because, sometimes you don't want a kid to come across as a threat. And that's like a reaction to protect them
Mm-hmm. Right.
from them, right?
Mm.
So those are content I always tell people and I share. And the third one, John Hope Bryant, he's very contemporary. And honestly, if I were to, like, you should never like say you want to mimic someone's life because you don't know who they are, what they
Mm-hmm.
do in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But just understanding from the nonprofit space, like he grew like over 700 homes. He had like the largest nonprofit in the U.S. And he's constantly speaking about like economics, like getting us into ownership, getting
Mm-hmm.
us to recirculate the dollar, getting us to work together. So I always look to him and I'm like, okay, you're an inspiration. Someday I must connect with them.
Yeah.
And and what he does, he goes to where our people are, right? So I first learned of him on the Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club. Yeah, I watched him yesterday actually about that. So we have to talk about like what he was saying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't get to caught up on that one, but I know he has a plan. He wants to increase the net worth of Black America by 2030 by
Mm-hmm.
$3 trillion. Like I have to go back and look at it, but So these are people that are actually putting forward explanations of what we should do, like
Mm-hmm.
practical things that we need to do to impact our communities, and also explaining why we're also making those subconscious decisions that we really don't understand. Since then, I've actually joined the board of the Alberta Black Therapist Network.
Oh,
Be-
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because there's absolutely an element of therapy that our people need,
We
right?
need and we need to access. Yeah, I totally agree. Before we continue into influences and so on, I wanted to talk about John Hope Bryant and something that I noticed because you put me onto him. So I've been listening to this guy quite a lot. I want to get his book. I think he has a book that is readily available for everybody or something. So it would be great if we got it in our own Black community here in Edmonton. But one of the things hearing him talk, Levar, that reminds me of you, it made me reflect back on who you are and what you are doing is he seems to draw allies from everybody to get his vision completed and like getting going. He has allies in both parties in the United States. He has friends in all the parties or races, it seems as well. Also, he seems to have a plan. I heard this guy say that he wrote a business plan for Black people, then for poor white people, then for the Latino community. I was like, what? He does not think in silos. And that reminds me of you. Can you talk to where how influences come together for you to make your dream and your vision possible? I know
Uh,
we didn't even discuss that question. Oh my
no,
goodness.
no, this is this,
Pause.
no, this is honestly a very natural question, and I'm
Mhm.
actually going to take it in the direction of Nod as well. That
Yes.
kind of brings it all
Great.
together. So we are not an island. So a couple of things. As Black people, we're not a monolith.
Right.
First,
Not
right?
a monolith. Yeah.
I wouldn't be me without any humor. Sometimes my Caribbean people say, "Levar, you're not even Caribbean because I'm from Guyana."
Right.
Right?
Oh, right. So what do you
Exactly.
answer to that? You
I'm like,
know, I wonder
you
if
know,
Greg is listening to this. And all this time we've been looking at you as an authority on curry chicken or chicken curry. And you might not even be from the Caribbean proper. Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
well, the headquarter of CARICOM is in Guyana,
True. Very
right?
true.
The
Mhm.
breadbasket of the Caribbean was and will soon again be Guyana,
Oh,
right?
it's not right now? Okay.
Yeah, like we got our
Mhm.
oil money, right?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
is. It's in the culture. It's not the geographic of it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So it's like me saying I'm Latino. There's no connection there because I'm in South America. I'm not Latino. I'm
Right.
literally Caribbean by culture.
Yes. Yeah.
So the importance of allies, recognizing and even speaking to silos, right? Like silos exist for a reason, right? People gravitate to their groups, um, to the spaces they go for a reason, and that's just comfort. First, you gravitate to where you go because there is some sort of connection.
Mhm.
But after you've made that connection, where do you go from there, right? So the importance of having allies. Number one, we cannot accomplish our economic freedom within just the Black community. We need allies. We cannot accomplish political aspirations on our own because we don't have that voting block in one area. We need allies.
Mhm.
We definitely can't change the justice system on our own. We definitely need allies.
Absolutely. That's an very important one where we see that need. Yeah. Hmm.
When we're talking about media, even though we're running all these different media channels, and I love that you called out Annette and said, hey, we
Hmm.
need to somehow bring all of our media together, right?
Yes.
So it's in that aggregation. We need allies to do that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, within education, changing the curriculum, all that stuff, we need allyship. And that's me bringing it back to Paranomics there again, because on our own we can accomplish just so much. And you said it yourself, if you want to go fast, you go alone, but
Yeah.
we need to go far. There's a lot that we need to change. We need to go together.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, when I think of, where think is and the future of think. And then I'm going to pivot in terms of like what that allyship means.
Hmm.
uh, we absolutely need to find our people where they are, bring them together, and think in the future we're going to have chapters of what we do here in Edmonton in
That's
different cities.
Yeah.
right? Because there needs to be a space where you don't just go because you are from St. Lucia and you only go
Mhm.
to the St. Lucian Association. There's intersections elsewhere. So where do you bring those aspirations? You'll bring it to a think community that may direct you to a community that ultimately you're trying to go to. But we're gonna have those intersection points
It's
that
like a full-time job right there, Liva. Like that's a full-time manager, full-time because the movement there's just a groundswell from what I see
is
that
a
you know, oh my goodness, yeah.
but that speaks to the heart, right? Like it speaks to what people are naturally doing, and there's an interest. There's a
Yeah.
keen interest in wanting to share and move forward.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So now, next level of the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so think starts connect first,
Yeah.
network. What we do monthly
Meetups. Yeah.
meetup,
Mm-hmm.
collaborate, right? So that collaboration, first of all, is very hard. I'm sure you've tried to collaborate with others, and
Yes.
it is
Sometimes how people ghost each other.
we go-
Oh,
we ghost each other, we we steal ideas, we do so many things. But you know what? That
yeah.
speaks to hopefully if we can get to touching it, that the barrel analogy
Mm,
we were talking about.
yeah.
But so I'll speak to my personal experience with collaboration.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, like I have a lot of people that reach out to me. I've got limited time, and early on when we started Think, we actually had a collaboration with Black Ties. I'm not
Mm,
sure if you remember that. So Black Ties is a Black-owned
yeah.
app, but it was essentially Black LinkedIn, right? And I
Mhm,
love that concept because it was bringing professionals together. They're on their journey, and I still love what they're doing. I want to support it.
mhm,
And so we actually were one of the first groups. We actually had a channel on Black Ties where we were bringing our Think community on Black Ties, and that was intended to just really, bring our people that they can connect with other Black professionals
mhm,
around the country. And along the way, I actually met some partners. So Ekena Honora,
mhm,
and this is almost coming in 2 years, and Chinamaran Okwana.
mhm.
So along that journey, like we've met countless hours. Hence my
Mm.
tardiness. My
You don't look it. It's good. Kudos to
right?
Sarah.
Yeah, and that woman, she's a power too. So she holds down the home.
Yeah.
And she's actually in the background making a lot of great things happen.
Mhm.
We saw her taking photos
Oh
at the last.
yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have her on by the way. So that's I will, yeah, but I'm putting it out there already.
Yeah, she's what a lot of people don't get to see. Many things I get credited for. It's actually my wife. Like she is
Yeah.
the one who really makes a lot of this thing move. And when I listen to her speak, I'm like, am I married to you again? Like, right? So you see each other in certain angles, but when you see them in a different space, it's like, wow,
It's
okay.
very exciting too, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very like to see somebody differently. That's absolutely, yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Just one thought before we move off of this.
Yeah.
So our daughter Leah Rose,
Mhm.
she actually had a condition called SVT,
Okay.
and she's actually on the Stollery campaign, current
Mhm.
campaign. So the My $2 Million House. On the news, you might see a little black girl showcasing this how
Yeah.
you can win this $1 million house. That's her daughter.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Nice.
yeah, so my wife, she's been on the radio with them. They've been on TV, right? So not
Mhm.
in black spaces, but Edmonton,
Canadian spaces, right?
in so
Canadian.
many different spaces.
Yeah.
She goes to like Women Who Brunch, these different allies that can
Yeah.
help amplify our causes. And when I listen to her, I'm like, is are you my wife?
Yeah.
So I'll leave that there and bring it.
Soraya, you're going to be on the show. I'm going to invite you on. I hope you say yes. So, open invitation already.
I've
Because I
already
mean,
been
I
getting
think we
some.
need to, even before we continue, to say that on top of everything else that you're doing, being the bank manager, doing Think and the Nod, which we'll now talk about, then you're also a dad and a wife, and you have four beautiful kids. So, you are busy, and we appreciate your time. I just kind of needed to put that in. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. And other things that we're not even going to jump into today.
Ugh,
So,
right.
so keeping with the collaboration piece. So, once things started growing, like the natural direction is okay. Let's create a directory. Let's create a listing of our members. And many people are probably still thinking like, why don't you have a directory? That's intentional.
Okay.
Um, and and early on, I recognized that at 1,024, so WhatsApp has a community right now. So a community is different from a group. So the group itself at 1,024, unless WhatsApp changes that feature, you
Hmm.
can't add more people in the group.
Oh, so we had capacity. Is that it?
So we're almost at capacity. So what a lot of people don't realize is that so we don't allow foreign numbers into the group.
Great. Yeah, that I think is a
So
good thing. Yeah.
there's no foreign numbers, but also there's a lot of people, easily over 300 that have applied that have been declined, right?
Okay.
Because there's right now I would say there's a very low entry to get into the group, but it's just understanding who is coming into the group because as they're let in, they now have your cell number,
Mm.
right? And people can easily spam you and scam you by just having your cell number. So we try to safeguard that before letting
Mhm.
people in. So understanding that a group only allows about 1,024, there needs to be another space where we can create that has capacity for more than 1,024.
And that
So,
space
and
is
that
where.
space is the nod,
Okay.
right? So the
Mhm.
nod. So here's what happens. So my expertise, my skill set does not loan to tech. It doesn't loan to websites and that piece. Like my skill set and understanding is community focused at heart and
Mhm.
being able to bring people together. So enter Ikena Honora. This
Mm.
guy is a genius. Like that's my brother, and trust me, we fight a lot. But just like siblings do, any siblings that fight, they fight out of love. They fight out
Mm.
of purpose to accomplish usually the same thing. So when I met Ikena, this was like 2 years ago, and we're working around Jerkin, like Jollof Fest at that time,
Mm.
with
Mhm.
Jerkin Jollof. And he's like, bro, you don't need to do another directory. You don't need to just do another listing because they are listings are very valuable. Listings have a purpose, but like, we need to start elevating how we operate. We need to start shifting the focus in how we accomplish what we're really
Mhm.
trying to do. So that example of going far again is what's important. So to answer your question in terms of like how do we solve for a lot of the things, it's in ownership
Ownership of. Mhm.
of whatever space we're occupying. So bring it back to you telling Annette.
Mhm.
At some point we need to collaborate on all these media.
Yes. Yeah.
Why not own something that aggregates this and bring everyone together, right?
Mm.
So right now we're on different platforms. Why not build those platforms, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
ownership. Yeah.
and and maybe we don't know how to do it right now, but I guarantee you within our midst, we have people that have the capacity to build. And building isn't always about putting the money in. It's a lot of time, which makes you tired like me.
Yeah. Time, expertise, right? We need
Expertise,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
And
And also an element of growing and deferring to each other, but you're learning along the way. So
mm,
now, Levar now, I've got so many more different skill sets because I've really immersed myself in a knot. So it kind of he's like a tech mind. He's very strategic in what he does, but he's also like a businessman. Like at this point, sometimes I'm like, hey, here's the problem. I'm very good at identifying the problem, and then he does like a computing thing, and he's
mm,
like, here's the solution. Here's how we do it, right? And enter Sochi. You know,
mhm.
Sochi's skill. She's naturally excellent at that stakeholder management. And the minute Iken and I start doing this, Sochi's like, okay, my brothers, my peeps, as I always say.
Mhm.
Here's how we start massaging this and bringing together and find the best in how we do all these things so that we've consistently been
She's
going
an
forward.
amazing. I have to say, I'm gonna have her. She's an amazing woman. I have things to say about Sochi that I'm gonna say I have to say publicly. I'm waiting for that moment because this woman turned my head inside out. Just turned my head inside out with her perspective of what it means to support another Black woman.
Mm,
I haven't seen it. I just had not seen it before, and I was like just amazed. You know, I Yeah, let's move on from that because I'm going to bring her on. We need to chop it up about, yeah. Anyway, let's go back to how the nod came about and what it can do for the average Black person in Edmonton.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah,
So no, as I think of like how the nod fits into this giant bigger picture. So
yes,
the
yeah.
nod solves for our economics, right? Bring
Mm,
it back to the paranomic dynamic the way I envision it. But
yeah.
it's not, and just like black folks, like we don't just wear one hat. Like naturally, the things that we touch, it interacts with many different spaces. But in terms of a mission, so the NOD's mission is to recirculate $100 million
Hmm.
among 500 black-owned businesses over 4 years. Pause. I have to bring that back again.
Okay.
The nod's on a mission, right? To
Yeah.
recirculate $100 million among 500 Black-owned businesses over the next 4 years. And we
And
already
we
have
started.
exactly,
Hmm.
right? So in doing so, like we've created space for the nod that gives back to nonprofits like Think, um,
Hmm.
Africa Center, NBCC, right?
Hmm.
In terms of like our strategy is, hey, your individual groups, which in realities are silos,
Hmm.
bring the silos here, right?
Hmm.
To an extent, there is there is an element of recirculating the dollar in all of these communities. So it's not unique to Think, right? There is an element of supporting each other that is not just unique to Think. So we're working on a model where your members, as you bring them onto the nod, and just to define it, so we've built an app. So we have an app. Our official launch is going to be in June,
Hmm.
the 25th. But we built an app where, just like on WhatsApp, we exist, but you're only limited to the groups that you see. So we built an app that, so for example, you, Lisa, at your
Hmm.
next conference that you're flown into Moncton, New Brunswick,
Yes, I'm gonna. Yeah.
you will go on the app and you'll be like, let me see where the community is in Moncton, New Brunswick. So you can
Yeah.
drop it and it will plug you into community groups right away. You can choose which groups you want to join.
Hmm.
You can find a black-owned business in Moncton, New Brunswick, right? You can message people directly,
Hmm.
right? You can check for events that are happening in the city, right?
Hmm.
And you can find that out because now we're creating a space where we're aggregating, right? All these different communities. So
Hmm.
that's what the nod is doing. So the nod is building space,
Hmm.
right? So that different communities can come, interact, and just amplify and grow together.
Oh wow. Okay. You know what? Like I'm speaking from the laypersons. This is what I foresee can happen. From the layperson's perspective, the average black person who is in support, wants to support and needs to now know what. It's like, okay, give me steps like one, two, three, four. I want to this is amazing, especially for somebody who's flying around and doing stuff and wanting to support and recirculate the money in our economy. Give us some steps. Like, what's our first move? I
So
think I
today,
need it. Yeah.
yeah. So today, the first step is join the waitlist for the app, right?
Yes.
So it'll be out within before the end of April, or worst case mid-May,
Mm-hmm.
because we're actually doing beta testing right now. So
Mm-hmm.
download the app,
Yes.
create your communities,
Mm-hmm.
bring your communities that you're in onto the app, and just continue doing what you've already been doing in your different spaces. That's number
Mm-hmm.
one.
Right.
Number two, just amplify it. Go on our social media. So go on the Nod Movement on Instagram.
Right.
Uh,
And I put
Nod,
it in there, the website. I just put the website in. Mm-hmm.
yeah, the Nod Movement on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And while you are waiting, I encourage you to consume content that we've created already in the Nod magazine.
Okay.
I would encourage you to read Lisa Dublin's piece
Thank you. It's some
in the
amazing
Nod magazine,
pieces in there. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I've explained like the core of like what the knot is doing in terms of like our goal is to recirculate 100 million through 500 black businesses over the next 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
The way we structure that, so we have one, the app, right?
Yes.
So with the beta testing, you'll be able to download it. I love the radar feature. And I also
Mhm.
love the cool feature. I'm gonna give you guys a teaser. There's a care feature. So think of it like Facebook Marketplace where you can give stuff for free. We have a dedicated care feature. You can just give stuff
Mm.
to the community for free, right?
Okay, that's
Um,
nice. Yeah.
and what we solve for is you can connect with that person anonymously. So
Mm.
if like let's say I need a new couch, like
Yeah.
I put it on the group, someone might feel a certain ways to say, "Hey, I want that couch in the think group because pride
Everybody
or
knows
whatever."
people there. Yeah. Mhm.
Exactly. So, so we've got the app
Mhm.
that is the main feature. We have the Nod Media, right? And by Nod Media, we have a magazine, right? So we've just completed our fifth edition.
Mm.
We're in sixth edition right now.
Mhm.
So a really cool feature around um, just elevating the way we're thinking, how we're progressing.
Mhm.
Uh, our magazine sits on a completely owned platform. So we don't create a magazine and then put it up on another platform like Asu.
Yeah.
The
Right.
magazine that you're flipping through, it's entirely on the Nod ecosystem. So you can listen by reading, and you can listen to the articles while you're walking around your house. So we
That's what
built
I found was such a cool feature. Honestly, to be, I mean, I know other places do whatever, but I had, there was no reason for me to go patronize these others. I never needed to. But the fact
yeah,
that I could do this in something that I had a vested interest in, I think that that is something to amplify. Like you can just simply read it, you can just
yeah.
simply hear it and or listen or that kind of thing. That's
And
awesome.
I'll bring it back to you again. It's black owned, right? Like we built it from scratch,
And
right?
yeah,
So we built that. Yeah.
congratulations. Yeah. All right.
Um, and then thirdly, we've got the Nod Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the Nod Foundation, it has three different elements of it. So one of it focuses on youth that
Mm-hmm.
are in post-secondary, that are about to get into the space of work or entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
There's the second one on research, right? So right
Oh,
now we are focusing on, we say 100 million because we try to find that data similar to the US in terms of like how long does a dollar stay in our community, um, but we can't find it readily. So we're gonna co-author that report just so we find
oh.
exactly what it is, so we can close that gap.
Okay,
Uh,
I thought I heard something about some. There are some statistics about how long it doesn't stay in the
that's in
black
the US.
community. It's not quite. It's not accurate. Oh
That's in
wow.
the US. That's in the
In the
US.
U.S. Oh, in the U.S. Okay, got you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So as a platform here in
Mhm.
like we're obviously prioritizing Canada, but I mean the movement we envision it can grow like
Yeah.
wildly across the world, but right now it's definitely in Canada,
Hmm.
right? So focusing on youth, focusing on research, and then focusing on small business.
Yeah.
So there's an element of like we do give the nod,
Hmm.
and by
Yeah.
give the nod within the magazine space, we try to amplify like black excellence, but
Hmm.
also those that are on the journey to get to black excellence, right? But maybe their infancy. So we
Hmm.
try to help give them like a boost in terms of like you can get started here.
Hmm.
Lots of the content you can definitely, if you go to the Nod movement, so the nod.com
Yeah.
movement, we can share it.
Yeah.
If you want to know more, you can book like a 15-minute session and you can connect with
Uh-huh.
one of our founders and we can walk you through like the next step.
I actually wanted to pull it up if you don't mind. Let me just share that screen so that people can see what we're talking about. This is serious. This is great. This is amazing. You know what I think? Anyway, we'll talk about it. Can you see it? This can you
Yeah,
see?
I can see that.
Right. Okay. It's not looking like let me see that we can actually see it. And people can go. So this is where you can go join, right, and get on the wait list. I think I am also on the wait list, and then you do get updates about it. So we're definitely looking forward to the launch of the app and all that it has to offer. Yeah. So this is how old is the node now, Liva? Like we need to.
So believe it or not, we are so officially in terms of like being registered, we're almost a year.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
So
Mm-hmm.
so that speaks to the power of collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
and aligning with the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can scale something like in no time,
Mm-hmm.
because whenever we interact with you, many people think we've been doing this like 10 years from
It's
building
just
and
volume of everything, right? The way it came out, like, okay, like, do I even understand what this is? So I just take every opportunity to ask the questions and to simplify, I think, like, just for the average person, what exactly, because it seems like it's so high tech, it's so much, it's so professional. It's like, oh my God, this is ours. Like this is something that's ours, literally. It's not some pie in the sky. It's actually happening, you know? So, what are you looking forward to? So, after you've accomplished in 4 years' time, and the year you've begun the countdown for the
begin
four
the
years,
countdown.
the countdown to the 4 years to create the 100 million in 4 years amongst in the community. Has the countdown begun? Has it officially launched, or
So we're gonna have
am I asking?
periodic
Sorry, am I
meetings.
asking a stupid question?
No, that's a great question.
Okay.
I you know what, Lisa, it's a right now we don't have like concrete data, so that's why we have the research piece,
Yeah.
right? So we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna co op to that. We're exploring a partnership with the University of Alberta, where
Mm-hmm.
we actually will have like what may be the very first
Mm-hmm.
Canadian relevant information that we
Mm-hmm.
can speak to. So now, once we've looked back, let's say we're sitting here in 4 years, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I have to pay to get into your calendar because you're
Oh
so
my
international.
goodness. Yes. No, there'll always be a
Let's
space for you and the nod for sure. Yes.
let's
My
speak it
two
into
people.
existence now. I envision that we would be able to, really influence each other's outlook and dismantling that borrow.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
that's the next transition, to be honest with you,
Can
right?
you, okay, do you want to go there just for a minute? Because I have a question to ask you about financial literacy within the Black community. But
Yeah.
it's, if you don't mind, to speak about your concept, the philosophy of the crabs in a barrel, which most Black people think we are. But according to you, what?
Yes. So absolutely, especially with the financial literacy, we're going to transition now.
Yeah.
So this speaks to my vision. I tend to, and this is me unlearning over the last year, unlearning what I thought I knew.
Mm-hmm.
Every black person that I've met has said, like crabs in a barrel. Like we can't get anywhere because somebody's going to pull you down. Somebody's going to harm you. Somebody's going to steal your idea.
Yeah.
And that's why there's like we approach each other with fear. We approach each other out of concern, which in, instead of out of love. And at a last nexus, you saw that conversation kind of drifted there a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's so common. So my philosophy around crabs in a barrel is around the spider crab. So look, there's a video. I hope if you can share that with the group.
Okay.
um,
Mm-hmm.
the crab, the spider crab especially,
Mm-hmm.
in the ocean
Mm-hmm.
operates entirely differently than a spider crab that's tossed into a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Same crab, different behavior.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now what we're telling each other, so we love each other unconditionally. Like we've got a connection in a way that many other like other groups do not have as connections. Like we see another person, there's like an instant connection, especially when you are in unfamiliar spaces. And Lisa, I'm sure you do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the time. So my philosophy is let's break the barrel, let's break the bucket, right? And let the crabs go and do as they wish, right? Because what's really preventing us from collaborating, it's obviously some of the things that Dr. Joy DeGruy speaks about is that
Mm-hmm.
post-traumatic slave syndrome. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things from slavery that honestly we haven't acknowledged, we haven't worked through in terms of like our therapy, because that's taboo in our culture. We do not
Yeah.
sit down and talk about therapy.
Nope.
But more practically, it's the environment that we're operating from. We're operating from a space of scarcity. That if I go into media, that means you can't go into media. That means if I go into start a new venture, you shouldn't go into that venture. But why can't we go into those venture, come into an agreement that we have a franchise?
Yeah. For example, right? Yeah.
Exactly, right? So I am operating the same business in a different part of the city, but let's have an agreement that this is our franchise, this is our standard, this is how we operate. As opposed to say, well, you can't steal that idea and do it over there. But once again, that's where that collaboration aspect really really hinders us as a community. But I don't believe it is the crabs,
Mhm.
right? Because when you look at the video, and I hope you can share it.
Yeah, I'm wondering which one it is. I have a couple. Yeah, but yeah, please go ahead and I will try to find it so we can look at it as we speak. Yeah, let me
The
go.
imagery of the spider crab in the ocean is the spider crab would all climb on top of each other, and they would protect the ones with weak shells,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Instinctively, they do that.
Mhm.
And then even in some cases, there's some sacrifice that goes on for the weaker one. So
Mhm.
as a community in the ocean, they move and they take
Mhm.
over ecosystems, but that's
Okay.
instinctive to them,
Mhm.
as
I think
opposed
I
to
found it. Mhm.
exactly as opposed to those same crabs in a bucket. Their
Mhm.
only inclination is to pull. As they
Yeah.
see one is leaving, they pull each other down. So I
Okay.
think there's something there that
Is
we
that it?
really need to. That is the one, yeah.
That is the one. Yeah. Let's play. Let's take a little bit of it in, and you can explain as we. Yeah.
Stingray can eat 50 crabs a day. They hoover up any who've lost their shell. Our spy becomes the crab's defender.
The narrative that we do a good job with.
The ray will look for an easier meal. Those with hard shells aren't worth the trouble. Males even stand and fight. Those with soft shells hide among the hordes. Despite their brave defenders, the ray can hunt them down.
Ooh.
It makes short work of extracting meat from shell. The crab in hiding makes her getaway. She needs to get lost in the crowd. The ray's victim is now an empty husk. But he's yet to have his 50 a day. And the fleeing crab is still in the open. She's made it. Now to vanish among the masses. The greater the numbers, the harder it is for the ray.
That's the key part.
Yeah. That's the part, right? I hope everybody can hear.
Those with hard shells form an armoured fortress, with the soft-shelled hidden beneath.
Right?
Left in the open, spy crab is now a sitting target. It gets the full death ray treatment.
I mean, it's a positive,
Yeah.
but you have to
A
peek
crab's
around
eye view of
one-
an untimely end.
Hold on. Pardon?
the people around the ones where the hard shells, they create that fortress.
Yeah, covering each other. I've
Exactly.
never, oh my goodness, I've never heard it explained that way. Should we continue? We just have like less than a minute. What do
Yeah,
you
go
think?
ahead.
Yeah, let's continue. Yeah, this is so interesting.
But it's still live and kicking. It's not over yet.
That crab is actually a robot.
This time, the ray did it a
It's
favour.
not a crab, it's the robot.
Okay. Is the robot?
Back firmly on its own 8 feet, our spy heads to the fortress. It has a tower of crustaceans to climb,
So it can't get, okay. So it,
but there's no need. The crabs come to our spy. They they create a shield of legs and armour. A living citadel built on sand. A brief monument to the strength of teamwork.
Oh man, wow. Okay,
Right.
so like those kinds of interviews and being exposed to different points of view like that, in a sense, they just leave me on the outside of myself. I have no other way to explain meeting something for the first time and seeing the relevance of it. So, in your opinion, we don't have much time left. I wish we had another hour. But what are you saying to us? Ugh.
So what I'm saying, it's the same thing big organizations are saying, small organizations are saying, community groups are saying, within the families are saying it's trust. It always comes back to trust, right? Like we've got an issue with trust right now. What we've tried to do with Think Meetups intentionally with actually going to support Black-owned restaurants. I will not eat with you if I don't trust you. So
Right.
subconsciously, that's one of the things that we try to do,
Mhm.
right? So we
Mhm.
need to trust the people that are managing our finances. So intentionally seek out, and this will speak to the financial literacy piece because one of the things I personally experienced with financial literacy is like we have people from the community that care, that have a goal, that's their job to educate and bring financial literacy to the community. But somehow we don't trust those people. I Whenever I have a discussion with someone about anything finance related,
Mhm.
I always start by saying, I need you to understand that I cannot share your personal information. That's a privacy breach. I can lose my job if I were to go and share your personal information. I always do that because I understand the space we're coming from in
Mhm.
terms of trust. So
Mhm.
we have to trust each other. And if you don't have someone you trust right now, find someone that you trust. Find
Yeah.
someone within that space, but just recognize, especially for us in the financial industry, like I cannot go and colloquially say, I can't go in the streets and discuss your finance. I can't even do it with my wife because
Yeah.
I can do my job. Just like the same way doctors have like a
Patient
responsibility or freedom,
confidentiality. Yep. Hmm.
confidentiality you can't break.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Also,
building trust is one big way. Yeah.
that is the one way, right? And then the next part is within community. I love to share the piece with Issa Rae, and
Hmm.
Issa always says, let's network around us. When most people think of networking, they think of those at the top. Like I want to reach the person at the top and get him impart knowledge with me.
Hmm.
Forget that. Network around you. So who is in the trenches with you that is on the same journey? So I'm glad to say, sister, that
Yeah.
we're in the same journey together. So
Hmm.
that if Lisa calls me, I know Lisa's calling me for something valid. I will call you back.
Right. Yeah. Likewise, for sure. Yeah.
So
Okay.
trust, find people around you that are on that journey. And there are many people that are on that journey that want to build and grow together.
Hmm.
Um, and then the third part is don't look inside only. Like once again, there is so much that's going on in and around the community. Voice your opinion. Join like a nonprofit, especially if you're new to Canada. Join a nonprofit just to get that experience.
Hmm.
You can grow into so many positive avenues for you because we always talk about nepotism, and we complain when other communities do it. Big LeBron James fan. If you
Yeah.
want to say it's nepotism, you got his son in. I'm like, so what?
But
He
yeah,
did it,
me too. I'm like, what else was he supposed to do? No, I
right?
totally get why he did it. Yeah.
So you can't do and by and all means like nepotism isn't good.
Mm,
So let's be fair. But
yeah.
but I also have a good friend that right now is in the courts fighting his ex-employer.
Mhm.
Why? Because in a role he was in a position of authority where he could hire people and give procurement contracts, and he did that. He gave it to a lot of black people that got the job done
Mhm.
under under um, under budget,
Mhm.
really good quality, but then he's still getting questioned as to like, why did you bring so many black people around?
Yeah, because we're a
So
thing.
now, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So, so
Wow.
those are
Okay.
the key things.
So, okay, first of all, you know who this is, right? You know Sarai's on the call, right? This is YouTube. I'm sure. Isn't this your wife? This must be Sarai. Is it?
That's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
it is. SS, right? So she's sending some love. I'm sure she's not too far away, but we wanted to acknowledge and thank her for lending to the community that way, with your attention and your just drive. And I think, thank you for being here and sharing the journey and the thinking behind why you do what you do. And with the hope that people will get involved. So if the Think Meetups is now closed, as in we're almost at capacity, the next step is what in terms of coming out to the community and to the events on a monthly basis, because I found over the months, Levar, that a lot of people who do come to the meetups when we do have them in person aren't necessarily on the app. They're not in the WhatsApp group, which I think is amazing. I mean,
Yeah. So what's cool about it? Like we're trying to figure out what that pivot is going to look like. So
yeah.
one, we're going to migrate onto the Not app, but we're
Mhm.
always going to still operate in WhatsApp. That's one.
Yeah.
Um, we're probably going to split the Edmonton group in two. So I
Mm-hmm.
haven't decided on that. It might be quadrants. We're going to be looking for ambassadors to kind of run different, more targeted chapters within
Yes.
the city.
Mm-hmm.
Where we can drive more engagement, bring out more people, create more instant support there. Um, this month we wanted to test a virtual, and because our third Friday lands on Good Friday,
Yeah.
but we may end up pushing that to another day, just to especially accommodate those that are at church. Um, but in terms of like what the next step, like I'll say the same as last year, like we are on this journey together, right? So we're always open for feedback. We're always hoping to grow, but the core of it is to just bring the community, give and create space for us to show up and meet other like-minded people. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, after we've made that connection network, the hope is that you're going to find people that you were going to go and collaborate with and build
Mm-hmm.
something stronger on, right? You're going to go build something that makes a difference.
Okay. Thank you for being here today. I wish we had more time, but we're out of time now. Thank you for sharing the vision. Like, keep up doing it, Lafa. We need this, right? We absolutely need this. And I think, going forward to be more involved, at least from my part, in a more involved capacity. Let's put it that way. Because I feel like the for me, it's great to know it, and then we need to like let all the masses know it. And I think that's where the media part of it comes in. So
Love
yeah,
it.
yeah. Thank you so
Okay.
much. See you
Thanks
again
for
perhaps
having us
this time
here.
next year. Yeah, this time next year.
Next year. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll probably be 10,000 strong.
quite easily. Like our Instagram is like
Lord.
we hit 10,000 in the last month, like views. So
Yeah.
it's wild.
Now we have to come back for a part two. We didn't talk so much about financial literacy, about AI fueling things right now, all of
Mhm.
those things. So yeah, open invitation. We're gonna do it make it happen again.
All right. Thanks, you, Lisa.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye. See you guys. Thanks for listening.